Evening. Welcome to Business Roundtable. Our roundtable discussion is moderated by Nate Alston, chair and founder of the Ujamaa Business Roundtable. Our featured guest tonight is Marcia Thibodo of Oh What a Cake in Columbia, Maryland. Oh What a Cake has been serving homemade cakes and cupcakes for the past 13 years. Every cake is hand frosted and decorated to perfection. I'm going to turn it over to Nat now to get us started, and we'll put Marcia's bio and the link to Oh What a Cake in the chat.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nancy. And we also want to thank the Howard County Library System for co-sponsoring this. And as they mentioned, I'm Nat Alston. I'm chair and founder of the Ujamaa Business Roundtable. And do we have a treat tonight? And I have to put a period on that, because this is the first time that we've had someone that makes something that I think all of you will like. And if you haven't had dinner, I'm sorry. This is going to really upset your dinner. If you had dinner and waiting for dessert, well, check this out, because we've had with us today Marcia Thibodo, who is the owner, founder of what you see in the background. Oh, and I got to put an emphasis on that, Marcia. Oh, what a cake. And I should say plural. Oh, what are the cakes, really? So these are absolutely fantastic. We are so glad that you're coming on board with us as far as our monthly business showcase. Marcia, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're so glad. And I'm going to share the screen because we're going to tease our guests tonight and really display what I have to say is just absolutely awesome. And you're enticing probably all of us later on to say, hey, when can we order and how soon can we get it? So again, I'm going to share the screen. And Marcia, Marcia, I want you to really, in the beginning, describe the beginning, your particular business.
Well, Nat, I am a native here of Maryland. I'm actually an Army brat. My father was in the military, traveled all over the place. And my mother, when they divorced, my mother settled here in Maryland. She's from the Beltsville area. And when I settled here in Columbia, I'm actually a graduate of Wild Lake High School.
Go Cats. I got to interrupt. Go Cats. Okay, I'm sorry.
Class of 1983. And I then went to UMBC and got a degree in computer science. And I worked at Verizon for 19 years and some odd months as a computer programmer. And while there, my aunt, who was actually on the call, she wanted to go take a cake decorating class and drag me to the cake decorating class with her. And she could bake, but didn't know how to decorate, and I couldn't do either one. And I got the decorating bug and started decorating and took class number 1, number 2, number 3. And this is what it's developed into, what you see on the screen. Some of the cakes that we decorate here. We've been here for 13 years. We do all kinds of custom cakes, cookies, brownies, and a little bit of everything. Fruit cakes during the wintertime, and like I said, cookies and cakes and brownies all the time. And these, like I said, these cakes that he's showing now are some of the ones that we've done here in the shop. We do all kind of custom cakes. All that stuff you see on TV, we can do it.
Well, Marcia, I've got to ask really, and you've shared it one, but really in depth. Here you are, a computer programmer. Excuse me if I say, here you are or were a geek, so to speak. And now you've done a complete switch. I mean, how did this bug bite you or get you to really switch? Because someone would think, well, computers and cakes and computers, they may not match. So walk us through that transformation when sure you got the cake bug, but tell me about it. Tell me a little bit more about that transformation or that epiphany, so to speak.
Well, I come from a family of bakers, even men and women on both sides of the family. I have uncles on my father's side that cook, bake, and everything, and a plethora of ones on my mother's side that do. My grandmother, and most people would tell you, made the best cinnamon buns you're ever gonna have. The aunt I said that dragged me to the class, my Aunt Joyce, she makes the best homemade pound cakes. And so I grew up seeing it all the time. Everybody whipping, baking, and all that stuff. So it was in me already. And I didn't use my brain for the computer science stuff. And I guess somewhere along the way, the other side came out as well. And that's when I started doing the baking.
So that's that either left or right side of the brain decided, okay, I'm going to do the baking around here.
Yes, and believe me, the computer science side of my brain has died. I couldn't go back and program a computer if I wanted to. So I got to make this cake. I got to make this cake thing work.
And you said you've been 13 years in the business now. How was it when you got started? Where were you? Were you always at the present location or what?
Always at the present location. I decided to step out on, I'm a Christian. I decided to step out on faith. Verizon was, like every corporation, was starting to let people go, doing reductions in force every quarter. And it just got to be a little bit stressful. And I just decided, if I'm gonna kill myself and work around the clock for somebody, I'm gonna do it for myself. And people were buying more and more cakes from me just independently, just working out of my house, doing things. So I did some research and decided that, you know what, Columbia has a lot of people with a lot of families, and everybody celebrates birthdays. I don't care what's your economic, whatever, people celebrate birthdays and celebrations, and people are constantly having birthdays, having babies, getting married. And I decided, let's step out and see what's going to happen. And things just fell into order. I left Verizon, got a buyout package, used some of that money to pay off some bills so I would be debt free, and got blessed with the class at the Women Entrepreneurs of Baltimore. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a wonderful program to get me started, to show me how to do advertising and marketing and every little aspect of the business. And I got blessed. This just works out. Things just fall into place for me. And that's why I've been able to do it 13 years, survived the pandemic, and came back. And I'm having my best year. Last year was one of my best years that I've had, despite the pandemic.
Okay, well, I want to come back to that, but question that I had, your first year, you're in business now. You got the idea of baking the cakes, but what were some of those challenges that first year? And why did you pick even the location? Why not another location? What brought you to that? Go ahead.
Okay, the location I picked because, like I said, I was familiar with Columbia, and I'm right here on Dobbin Road. And most people who've been in Columbia know, all I can do tell people, I'm a mile south of Walmart, and people know where you are. I'm on the way to the post office. People know where you are. So that was part of the location. As far as the first year, the hardest thing was employees, because I was broke at the beginning. And I worked my family to death, and God bless them. When I say they work for little or nothing, they work for little or nothing, and helped me and cleaned up and stuck with me. And at one point in time, I was almost the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. My aunt was baking, and I was decorating everything. And then I guess about a year into it, I was able to hire somebody to help me with the decorating, because it just got to be too much, because we were here till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. But the first year was rough, but I made it.
Now, did you start off at that location, or were you cooking at home or baking at home, or what?
I baked at home, but when I quit Verizon, the first time I did anything, I baked here. I did here at the shop. So most people start at the house. Like I said, I took a couple of classes, and while you're taking class, you bake a cake here, you take it to work, and people taste it. And somebody asks you for a baby shower, and you do that, and you do something else, and you keep growing and growing and growing. And I said, I thought I had a good enough base and a background, and I thought I had done a little bit of research about the demographics here in Columbia, as far as the demographics for age groups, families, and all that stuff. And I thought this was a good spot. And at that point, there was only one other bakery here, and I figured there was enough birthdays and celebrations to go around that two of us could survive.
Okay, and hey, when we look at these cakes out here now, we can definitely see it. And so, again, you're looking at, you've got the location. Did you run into, when you got the building, was that building now difficult to either lease, rent, or what, from a business standpoint?
It wasn't that difficult to rent and lease. It was empty. This space was empty. I thought it was a good spot. I've learned a lot about doing leases now, in 13 years, about doing commercial leases. It wasn't that difficult. I thought it was a good spot to have.
Okay, and when you talk about commercial leases now, what did you learn from that business standpoint? As far as people going into business, what should they know about possible commercial leases from your vantage point?
I learned a commercial lease, the landlord pays absolutely nothing. you pay everything. At the end of the year for the snow removal, for if you ask them to cut down a tree, at the end of the year, they send that bill back to you to pay it. So the landlord pays absolutely nothing. You're paying their mortgage, their when they have snow removal come around at the end of the year, that money you get charged back for whatever. They put it out throughout the year, but at the end of the year, they send you a bill. They send, well, all of us tenants a bill for those things. That's one of the things I did not realize, that I pay for everything.
So that's something that all of us that are going into business should know up front. And you would advise them, hey, check that lease and make sure that, hey, if you're going in, that tenant's going to backfill or back tax you for those services that he or she provides.
It's called common area maintenance, and which means you pay for the common area, all the maintenance of it, cutting the grass, growing some tulips, cutting down trees, bringing in the salt for the snow, all that stuff. The landlord pays it right now, and then but they have a reconciliation once a year, and when they reconcile and see, they say, hey, you owe me $2,000 for all the work that I've done to upkeep the property.
So it's something I'm just thinking off the top of my head when you said that. I would assume that you have to keep in reserves funds for that eventuality coming. Is that correct or not?
You like to keep it in reserve if you can.
Okay.
If you can. Yeah. The first couple of years, no, we didn't have any reserves. But after that, yeah, I learned that when it happens, I realized, hey, she just did, like just now we had 2 or 3 snow days here. I know I'm gonna need extra money because that snow bill is gonna come.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I understand that. Right. What has been some of these 13 years, you passed that 5-year hump, as everyone says, but what has been some of the challenges in your business as you evolved to this 13 years?
Keeping up with the government and all your taxes. That's very important, because when you step out and have employees, and I didn't realize everything that was coming. People said, oh, you're gonna have taxes. There's workers' comp. There's you got to match their Social Security and Medicare. That little line on their paycheck says Social Security and Medicare. You have, if they pay 50, you have to add another 50, and it gets doubled up to go to the government. The next, they need workers. There's unemployment. There's federal unemployment and there's state unemployment. All those people need to be paid, and they need to be paid on time, or you get penalties and stuff like that. So there's a lot more expenses and of course the electric bills and all that stuff. So I know when people come in here and they want to break on something, and in my years I've learned, I tell people, if you can get people to work for free, if you can get Hogan to cut some of my taxes, and if you can get Biden to cut the up tax, then I can give you a discount. Until said time, this is the price. And I've learned in my years to stand my ground. And yeah, it's expensive to do. It's expensive to do, undertake, and make sure you have your pricing correct to add all that in, because that's something when people operate out their home, they don't have those expenses. But I do.
Yeah, you keep the key word on there, because several times before we've interviewed a lady now, she may be on or may not be on, that has a beauty products are in there. Pricing.
Yes.
How critical, and how do you price your particular products to make sure that, one, you got to pay the taxes, but also the overhead and your profit? How do you arrange the prices of your cakes?
I probably don't do it the right way theoretically that you should. I have a little formula to figure out what goes into everything and how much it costs me. And I try to go back in there. I just made a little spreadsheet. Cake gets so much flour, so much eggs, this is how much it costs to try and figure it out. And then a lot of it is being competitive with the people around in the area. Because even if it costs, whatever it costs me to make it, nobody's gonna pay me a whole lot more than they're gonna pay the bakery that's 2 miles down the road. Mm-hmm. So I still have to stay competitive, and I do, and it still allows me to be profitable, to stay competitive. So that the competition is the greatest thing. And some things I find here that I'm lower than other people, and some things I'm higher on. And people have to decide whether they want the service and the quality or what.
I've had clients in the past too that are in that same somewhat similar business. Are you able to negotiate price reductions with your vendors, your suppliers? Have you been able to do that?
Not really. I don't use that many people. I'll be honest with you. I do a lot of shopping at Costco and Sam's and places. And I do have, like, there's Restaurant Depot and restaurant things, but a lot of those, and I use places that give me rebates back and things like that. So not, and if you buy memberships, you get discount. Restaurant Depot and Restaurant Store, they have discounts for buying a membership, but I don't have too many suppliers that I use that are able to give discounts. Buying with a cash or check gives you a discount versus buying with charge, but not too many that I need that much.
Now, we've been highlighting some of your cakes and we're going to go through all of them.
Okay.
Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. The creativity of your cakes. I'm looking at these now, and that's really how I view it. If you don't mind, you're an artist, a cake artist. Have you ever been told that or thought about it that way?
And I have a vivid imagination, so I'm very good when people come in with the vision. If they can't see it, I can bring it into fruition to help them if they have an idea. And this gentleman had an idea of what he wanted, but not the whole thing. And we combined and now it's actually a little bit easier now because everybody can go on the internet and find something and say, I like this, that, and we put it all together. So
how do you do that? Let's say this gentleman, or I've got a person that wants to do SpongeBob or Nickelodeon and whatever, and I bring in this picture in here. How do you create that? I mean, is it you, or do you have a design team, or what?
Most of the time it's me. I have a young lady out front who's very good, and sometimes she gets something, she'll call me when it gets a little difficult for something. A lot of people want the same old thing, but we love, like this one here, the dinosaur one was a good one for us to do to stretch our wings a little bit. And that dinosaur is actually, the top dinosaur is actually made of Rice Krispie treats. That's a trick we use. He's Rice Krispie with fondant over him. You'll never know it. And the other two dinosaurs are actually all fondant. But people come in with ideas, and like I said, I have a very vivid imagination and very creative. So I am able to give them ideas and just come up with something. It's just like spur of the moment.
I tell you, they look absolutely fantastic, and to see what ideas you come up to create these characters, absolutely amazing out there. So that's as you say, that's the other side of the brain working, huh?
Yes.
Have you had any persons that come in there with a way out idea and you say, wait a minute, that's going to take some time, or what?
Yeah, sometimes I have to tell people I'll get back to them and come up with the price, because there's some things you just don't know how you're going to do them. And then I'll consult with my decorators to see how we could get something done to make sure, because you can have a pretty cake. It's also got to be transported. So like that dinosaur right there, he has what we call a dowel rod up into his head and down through his body and into the board that the cake is sitting on, so he doesn't go anywhere. Those trees have wires in them so they don't break, so it's stable. So you got to figure out, even if you can do the cake, can it be transported? Because a lot of stuff you see on the internet, people make it and they might deliver it, or it's just a picture they take in their shop. So all it's got to do is go from the front to the back. No, I need this to travel down the road over to grandma's for an hour in the car with the air conditioning. So it's got to be able to make it. So you have to put all that in the thought when you're doing stuff. And every now and then I had to tell people, you know what, for safest, I'm gonna give you this dinosaur and you put him on when he gets there, or something like that, so that you have a nice cake. But yeah, all that has to be thought out. And I tell people, that's why you come here and pay me to think it all out, so that you have a good cake when you get where you're going. Or like another thing, like red icing. Red dye has a bitter aftertaste. This is why M&Ms took a while to come up with the red. They just came up with a red M&M in the last 10, 15 years, because red dye has a bitter taste. And that's why people in the old days, use beet juice on red velvet cake, because if you use too much red, you end up with a nasty cake. So I tell people, that's my job to warn you that you don't have a nasty cake. So when you want to do Elmo, I had to let people know that it's going to be nasty. If you're going to do a Cookie Monster, everybody's lips and tongues are going to be blue. And that's my job to let you know that, so that, or if you're having a wedding and the wedding cake, your color scheme is blue, you don't want to do that, because when you go around taking grandma's picture, she's going to have blue lips and blue tongue. So that's what, yeah. So you have to think about all that when you design the cake. When people, I want it to be navy blue and red. No, you don't, because everybody's lips are going to be blue and it's going to have a bitter aftertaste. So that all goes, years and years of doing this, you learn those things.
So you become now an expert, and I guess your PhD, not just in the cake decoration, but also how people are going to the taste and all.
Yes, and food. And nowadays, I have to watch out for allergies. I never heard of people allergic to gelatin. And we all know about nuts and that type of seafood and shellfish,
Mhm.
but people come in with allergic to different tide colored dyes, FDC2 and I'd never even heard of some of this stuff. So I had to be up on top of it, because what I can't do is have anybody
Getting sick or anything of that nature.
anything. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sick, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned that you have to stay up. How often or what does it take for you to stay up on all of these trends? Because what you just said, people come in there with allergic reactions, or they're allergic to this, or as you said earlier, Mars coming out now with a new red dye. How often are you keeping up with all of these things that are happening in the culinary field?
Well, I belong to a couple of professional organizations. The biggest one is Retail Bakers of America.
Okay.
And they actually have a very good forum where I can ask questions like, hey, somebody came in here wanted to blah, 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 blah. I can ask the question. And most people are very open, because if you're a bakery out in Texas, you could care less if I'm going to be doing the same thing you're doing, and ask questions and just keeping up with what's going on. We do vegan cakes.
Okay.
We have a very good vegan cake, and we do and we have a vegan icing, of course, to go with that. We use Earth Balance to substitute the butter and milk products. We're able to do gluten-free products as well. Now, the vegan and gluten-free need to be ordered ahead of time, but we can do them and have a very good vegan and a very good gluten-free product.
Now, when you say vegan, and my son is a vegan person, what's the timetable or order time if he wants several days or a week or what?
We prefer a week so we have time to plan, but we can do something in 3 days if it's something simple. Now, what's on the screen right now, that needs a week, because all that stuff needs time to dry properly. But if it's just a simple cake with happy birthday grandma and some flowers, we can usually knock it out in 3 days.
So this would take how long again?
That one I need a week, because all that the unicorn and the rainbow and all the other stuff needs time to dry properly.
Okay.
So yeah, because if that unicorn is not dry, she's not going to make it home, and she's not going to stand up. So yeah, she needs a good week to dry. We use that's using fondant. And if anybody's familiar with fondant, every cake you see here has been decorated with icing. The decorations are fondant, but the icing itself is usually buttercream.
Okay. Wow. As we mentioned, folks, too, we got Marcia Thibodo of Oh What a Cake. And if you've signed on early, you can see the first 5 or 6, and they definitely are Oh What a Cake, really. Again, what has been probably, and I may have asked this before, but what has been the most challenging that you would say would go into your Cake Hall of Fame, the most challenging cake that you've ever had to produce? And whatever challenge, whether it was a wedding or whatever, anyone sticks out in your mind?
Anyone stick out in my mind? There's one, I didn't give it to you to show.
That's okay.
It looks like a Pepsi can is poured. It was for somebody retiring from Pepsi. And we had a Pepsi can at the top, and we did brown icing coming down. It was actually coming down a stick, but it looks like the can was pouring into a Pepsi bottle. That might have been to make it work and to make it transportable. Luckily I delivered it, and I was able to get it together, because we made the stick real long, so it looked like a real long drizzle of Pepsi coming out the bottle. So it had to be, I didn't want it to be a little short, because that wouldn't give us a test. So we made it, it was a good 1.5 feet long. So
wow.
Yeah, but I delivered that to make sure. And I care about my customers, and I care about their cake. So if I don't feel it's something that is going to make it with you, I want to be the one who has the mistake, not you. And once I tell people all the time, although you may take it out of here and it's now your responsibility, I still feel responsible and want you to have a good cake at your event. So if I don't feel that a regular person can transport it, then I make sure I transport it for them to make sure they have a successful cake at their event.
So you go that extra mile to ensure.
Yes.
And reputation means everything, I can imagine.
Yes, it does, especially in this day of social media, because all I need is somebody to get to a wedding and, oh my God, I was at the wedding and the cake was terrible. It fell all over the place. Da, 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 da. And one has 50 friends, another one has 100 friends, another one has 2,000 friends. And now the whole world thinks, oh, what a cake does bad cakes. No, they don't. They take great pride in what they do and make sure that everybody has. And I will tell people in a minute, I don't let you take a three-tier cake out of here. I have to deliver it because I wanted to get there.
That is interesting because I was going to ask you, do you do the 3-4 tier cakes and what's entailed in terms of delivery? So anything above the 3-tier or 3-tier and above, you will personally deliver?
I let you take a 2-tier out of here. Anything 3 and above, I have to take out. I deliver them. And the highest I've done is 5, and that is a really heavy cake. They probably weigh a good 60, 75 pounds. It's a heavy cake, but I have carts and everything that I have, and I usually map out where I'm going and entry and all that stuff. And I deliver all those.
Wow, I didn't know these cakes could get that heavy at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking maybe probably 30 or 40, but when you say 60 or more.
Oh yeah, 5-tier? Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Folks, if you've got any questions, I know Nancy put it in the chat, but if you've got any questions for our guest tonight, Marcia Thibodo of Oh What a Cake, please put them in the chat so we can ask those questions to her. Marcia, you mentioned the pandemic, and we're coming up on 2 years of the pandemic. If you look back at sometime mid-March, everything shut down. And you said this has probably been one of your better years. How so?
I have a very good customer base and very good family and friends who support me. A lot of them are online right now supporting me, and I appreciate it. And like I said, I have a very good customer base. I pride myself in knowing probably a good 50% of the people that come to the door. My other front person, Liz, she's better than me because she sees it more often than I do. 75%. We both have very good memories in remembering people's stuff. I had a young lady actually just coming here. She has 3 kids that have birthdays in January, and she hasn't been back since before the pandemic. And as soon as I saw her name, I knew who she was. And I said, this is 3 January birthday, Juliet. And she's like, oh my God, you remember? I said, yes, honey, I remember. We remember. And that goes a long way with people. And that's just who I am. To remember that and know what people have. Like I said, between Liz and I, we probably remember a good 80% of the people that come through that door and what they ordered and when they ordered it. So that goes a long way, and people come back for that. And I appreciate it. I really do appreciate the patronage that I get from my customers. But I have a very good customer base, old, young, everybody.
Well, look, that's great. And looking at the chat questions in here, you answered one question. Do you make vegan cakes? Another question in that, what about cupcakes?
Oh, yes, we have somewhere between 12 to 16 varieties of cupcakes every day, all kinds of stuff. And I need to get back to having a cupcake of the month, but I got to think of something. So yeah, we have cupcakes every day, chocolate peanut butter, strawberry, red velvet, Boston cream, carrot. We have a very good carrot cake. I'm looking over here now to see what we have, but yeah, we have cupcakes every day. We have brownies. And started making individual desserts. I do an individual apple dumpling. It's like a miniature single serving apple pie. We do pineapple upside down cakes. Those are big sellers. And we do individual strawberry shortcakes. And I'm working on adding a few more things to that individual list of desserts for people who just want a little small something for themselves. So try to keep expanding and adding stuff. And I have a very simple crowd. I call my meat and potatoes. They like just a good old yellow, a good old chocolate, and a good old butter. I know what they like, and I give them what they like, and I don't try anything fancy schmancy. I try a few things, but I have a good old, like I said, that's why I have a good old fashioned pineapple upside down cake, a good old strawberry shortcake. I know what my people like, and I try to keep them happy. And from time to time, I'll ask give me some ideas for things as well.
So another quick question out here. What was in the chat? What's the time frame for your fruit cake?
We only do fruit cakes during the holiday, and it's not that old nasty fruit cake you buy at the grocery store. We have a very good one. I had to call it my holiday cake, but I like it. Most people, if you like fruit cake, you'll like this one. And I do that just for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And okay. Twice a year, I have open houses. I have a spring open house in the fall, and those open houses will have free samples and giveaways and door prizes and everything. So at the fall one, everybody can taste the fruit cake and hopefully order it for your Thanksgiving or Christmas festivities. or
So you
however.
mentioned your open houses now. March coming in, do you have a specific date for that already or what?
I have not, but I will let you know. I got to go look at my staff and see when they're going out of town to make sure somebody's here to help me. And then I have family members that come in and help as well. It's a semi-annual event. I have family members that come all the way from Virginia as well as some locals, and it's a thing we do. They come and help and assist because we slice up cake, and you can come in here and have samples of cakes and taste and see what we have available.
Curious, I'm laughing with you and thinking the family coming in. Do you have any family bake-offs or contests with the family out there?
No. When I leave here, I leave bacon here. No.
So your family has crowned you as the queen of the bakery business, as far as the Thibodo family, huh?
Something like that. But I got some that are a whole lot better than me. So I won't be the queen. I'll be the princess. I learned from the queen and the king.
Okay. Again, you talk about the pandemic. You've been able to pivot because you've got a strong customer base. What advice would you give our business owners that may not be in your business, but in their business where they depend on a strong customer base? What tips or ideas or words of wisdom would you give them?
Let me see. You like to bring in customers?
To bring in them, but also to keep them.
Customer service and making people feel special and letting them know, because there's other bakeries right here. I am, I don't know how many feet from Wegmans, and they make decent product and everything. But when you go at Wegmans, the girls there might not know who you are. So I think it's the personal touch that you get here when you come in the door, when you feel welcome, when I'm in the back hollering hello and I know who you are and I remember your kids' birthdays and all that stuff. So we try, and it's not a try, it's just who we are. Like I said, the lady out front, Liz, is very good at being personable with people, and that's who I am as well, to remember people's name. And I have brides come in here and they got married 10 years ago, and I might not recognize the face or whatever, but if you tell me where I dropped the cake off, because I know everywhere I go, I can tell you exactly what your cake was. So but I would say get to know, figure out your demographic and where your people are and how to reach them. Magazines, Facebook, and I'm not a very good Facebooker myself, terrible at it. But to reach out to people, send newsletter, get their emails, and I send a newsletter, which I need to send this month. I'm obviously late. Figure out how to reach out to, figure out the demographic and how to reach them.
I'm looking at number 8, and when I see happy birthday, my name. Now, who else in here is a Nathaniel that you had to send that birthday to?
This was a cake they were having their party at, what's that place called? Medieval Times.
Okay.
At Medieval Times.
Well, that's fantastic. There's another Nathaniel out there, so I've got to meet and greet that particular person in there. All right, I love that. Now, you want to describe that a little bit if you like? Well,
it's a rectangle cake, and we curved. Not a rectangle; it's a square, and we rounded the edges to give it that look. And we have a template that makes that stone pattern on the side. You do the icing and let it get a little bit hard so it crusts up on you so it doesn't stick. It's a plastic template, and just rub it in there to get that stone pattern. And those turrets on the top are made of fondant. That's why you have to order a week in advance, so those have time to dry. Because fondant, if you're not familiar with it, is like Play-Doh, and it's very soft. But as it sits out, it will dry up and get hard, and that's how those sit up like that. So that's why we tell people a week in advance, because that cake couldn't be made in 2 or 3 days.
That is great. That is great. I want to go back to what you said in terms of your customers and your employees. As a business owner and as an employer now, how did you create, because you said you're an employer as well as a business owner, how did you create that type of culture that the people coming in to work for you embrace what you wanted in an employee, to share that with the customers, if you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm a good people person. I think I can, I try to ask questions during the interview to feel what type of person I'm interviewing. And sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes you get it wrong, and sometimes you get it right. And I'm very good with trying to get the dynamic to work around here, because one of my most important things besides the customer is that my employees are happy. And I've gotten blessed with good employees who want to come to work, who are willing to come to work and will do whatever they can to help out. And I've gotten blessed with people who love what they do, and like I said, come in. My baker comes in every morning at 6:30, 7 o'clock, bless her heart, because I had to substitute for her a couple weeks ago and I was dying. But yeah, I've been blessed with good people. My front girl's been with me for 8 years, my baker for 2.5, a decorator for 8, and the new decorator has been here for a year. And we all good camaraderie, and we all get along well.
That is great.
But getting good people is one of the hardest things to do. To get good people to show up, come to work, and want to work is one of the hardest things to do.
I can imagine. We got a question in the chat from Tracy. Do you have any plans to expand?
Nah, I'm trying to make this one work, sweetie. I'm trying to continue to make this one work. I'm doing other just trying to make this work and expand. And one of my next things I want to do is offer fundraisers for local schools, to offer them to sell cupcakes, and not even actually sell the cupcakes. They're just going to sell gift cards, and the customer there who they sell that, like instead of running around selling gift wrap and cookie dough and all that stuff, all they're selling is a gift card, and the people the customer, the parents that buy them can come in here anytime they want to and use that gift card. So that's my next one.
All right. And piggybacking again what Tracy was saying too, do you have any plans to mass produce your brownies?
Not at this time, but we do have the capabilities to mass produce them. I had a church back in September. They were going back into their physical church, and we did 2,000 brownies in like 5 days. And when I say I almost had mass exodus of everybody leaving here, but they came back. So yeah, we did. We made and packaged and everything, 2,000 brownies and had them ready to go by a Saturday. Yeah, they called like Tuesday, and we got them all together.
Wow, that 2,000. Wow.
But we if given enough time, we can make it work. Like I say, I'm blessed with a good staff who's willing to put in the work and do what it has to be done to make it happen. And they all love what they do. Like I said, my baker, she loves it. I did her job for a week and I really didn't care for it. I love doing the decorating, and my front girl loves out here being with people. But we like our little pieces, but we're willing to jump in and do the other piece. Because if somebody's running late, one of my decorators will say, well, you know what, I'm here, I'll take care of the front for a little bit. So and my baker, she can decorate a little bit, she can at least ice the cake. And she has no problem if we say, you know what, we got a whole bunch of cakes and she's finished baking, she will come up here and ice the cake. Now she can't decorate too well, but she can put icing on it.
Now that's a cutie pie we got there. So you want to explain that a little bit, if you will?
That's a very popular design now. And actually newer ones now actually have the hair with icing, but the girl herself is what we call an edible image. That's using sugar paper. I printed out the image on a piece of sugar paper. I have a separate printer. I have a regular one that does regular ink, and that one has edible ink. And that's the only thing I let go through it for sanitation reasons. And just print the picture and lay her down on there. And it's just a piece of paper, and we call it glue, but it's actually, it's gum glue. It's made out of edible things. And then the pink part is icing, and the white pearls are using fondant, using the mold. Wow.
I mean, I'm just amazed just looking at that going, you make them too good. I know people just don't want to eat them now. They want to take pictures of these.
But that's what you get. All your guests are going to say, oh, what a cake.
How did you come up with the name?
I had a contest, and I want to believe one of my cousins came up with it. I have a cousin Val that I'm quite sure she's the one that came up with that name for the thing. But I had a contest when I was starting to do it all. And I just asked a couple of people, and I liked hers. Like okay. I said, with my little tagline, all your guests will say, oh, what a cake. Because I really wanted to have a cake. I get so many people coming here and they're like, oh my God, it looked good and it tastes good. Well, yeah, it's a cake. It's supposed to taste good. But yeah.
I can imagine, yeah, people say, well, why shouldn't a cake taste good? That's what you got it for.
Yes.
Another question we have in the chat here, what are your biggest day-to-day motivators beyond money? How would you answer that?
I really enjoy what I do. And I said this, I love people. I'm talking to people and being with people. And I would think I'm more of an introvert, but I kind of have an extrovert side sometimes. But as far as being in a group, I'm really an introvert. But my biggest motivator, I love what I do and making people happy. When people come in here and the child's sitting there on Saturday morning and Liz opens the box and like, oh, like that one right there. When the child sees that and they're happy because they've got a dinosaur on their farm, that's when I'm happy. So that when people enjoy their cake or they see me in the grocery store, you're the cake lady. And they say, my mother really enjoyed her cake. And that's when I really know that I've done what I'm supposed to do and I really enjoy what I'm doing. Now, that's my biggest motivator. And we get, you can see by these pictures, we get different challenges every day. So those things, figuring out we got one right now, the young lady, her father is about to retire and she wants a cruise ship. So we're actually making the cruise ship out of Rice Krispie treats. We're not making the cake out of Rice Krispie. So the cake is going to be a round cake like that one in blue with water like the ducks are sitting in. And then we're making a cruise ship out of Rice Krispie treats. So it's
wow.
People come up with all kinds of stuff and we enjoy the challenge.
I can see. Now, KOA, what was that? I'm thinking Campgrounds of America or what?
No, that's the name, Koa. That was the child's name. Yep.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the number 2 up on the barn. He was turning 2.
And I know he probably loved this just to see that and didn't want to eat it, probably.
But the funny one, like I said, is the dinosaur in the background because every barn, she said he loved dinosaurs as well as farm animals. So we had to put a dinosaur on there.
That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Marcia, we're almost wrapping up here. We've got a few more. What words of wisdom would you give now for not a person going into the cake business, but going into business themselves? You've been there for 13 years. What words of wisdom now would you give someone that's just starting out or is thinking about starting out?
For anything, and my family will tell you, I'm a researcher. Do your research. Determine if there's a market for what you want to do. Ask people, hey, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to do that. Would you buy my service? Would you buy my product? And do your research and see where you should be. And like I said, as far as demographics for your product, are the people willing to come to you? I said, do your research and figure out what's out there. And then I just stepped out on faith and it's worked for me. It's worked. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a Christian and things just fall together for me. It's amazing how I'm blessed.
Anything you want to say about this 40 and fabulous?
She loved it. Now this cake here is actually fondant. This is one of the few fondant that we've done, but the rest of them have been buttercream. Yeah, she loved this cake.
I can see why. I can truly see why.
She loved that cake.
And are you these? Excuse me. Are these? Oh, I got another one in here. Pumpkin pies. I guess you do pumpkin pies. Is that correct?
Yes, during the holidays, you can hear it in my voice. We do pies for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thanksgiving is the biggest one. And I do them all from, do the pumpkin pie, sweet potato. Apple is my most popular. And I churn out apples and core them and peel them and make apple pie. And we do something else. Oh, pecan pie. And yeah, for Thanksgiving. This year was actually down a little bit. Most time we average about a little over 100 pies. I make them all, we make them all from scratch. So that takes some time. So yeah, and the weekend after Thanksgiving is declared Small Business Weekend. But unfortunately, we are all dead by that time. So I'm closed during Small Business Weekend. Yeah. By Wednesday evening, we're all done.
So again, for some people that may not know where you're located, can you give us your address again and where you're located here in Columbia? We
are at 6656 Dobbin Road. We are miles south of Walmart. And for those who are going, we're on the way to the post office. We're in a small, just a small strip mall here. There's 5 or 6 businesses here. jewelry store, actually a medicinal marijuana place, and a concentra that does urgent care.
Okay. Got a question out here too for someone. What about Easter? Any specials on Easter?
Nothing really. I have people from time to time ask for different cakes. I got a gentleman from Georgia who always wants something called a hummingbird cake, and I'll try to make special things when people want them. Do special cakes if we can. And then honestly, and I'll tell people honestly, if it's something I don't feel we can do and do it successfully, then I won't do it because I'm not going to embarrass them nor us. So, but I'll look up a recipe sometime if I have to and see if I can do it for people. Because if one person wants it, somebody else may want it, and it may open up a door to do something else. But nothing in particular. Most time people want something in the shape of a bunny or a bunny or a lamb or something like that, or a cross for Easter.
I'm curious also, you talk about shipping or delivering. Are you online service? Can anybody order if they're outside of the state or what?
You can go online and do an inquiry and I get back to you. And we do ship from time to time, and I've shipped cakes, just plain old, just one single cake, nothing like that, unicorn, anything like that. And I've shipped cakes. But I got to ship something I know can get there and be in one piece when it gets there. And I've never had one break apart. I had a young lady from church send her son a cake for his birthday 4 years. And it made it to Brooklyn, New York in one piece.
That is great. That is great.
And yeah, if you do an inquiry online, I try to get back to people within 24 hours and give them pricing or any details that they want. But there's an inquiry on our website that you can ask questions and send pictures to.
Okay. Any specials that when you start putting all these together, do you have any favorites of the cakes that you've displayed here?
The drizzle cakes are real neat. There was a pink one. Pink one with straw. It had chocolate covered strawberries, and that one. Those are real neat, and they're in right now. With the strawberries, those little pipettes are actually liquor going into the strawberries. Those little plastic bottles you see, those are very popular right now. They sent us for a while, had to work and figure out how to do it for a minute there, because that drizzle is actually a combination of chocolate and whipping cream. It took us a while to get the right consistency so it would be smooth, but we've gotten it down to a science now.
So that's what you call now your research and development. You try something and get it to perfection around here. So
yep. And when we do experiments and things, I donate cakes to the local fire department and the schools and other people. And some of my customers who are regular customers, I'll say, hey, we were trying something out. If I know you like lemon, hey, come try this and tell me what it's like.
Fantastic. So you're definitely reaching out to the community. Any people you're talking about now doing fundraising, I would imagine you're looking at identifying schools and nonprofits out there.
Yes. Yep.
Anyone in mind? And I guess why schools?
Well, because I know school. I have a bunch of my customers who are mommies, who are PTA mommies.
Okay.
And they get sick of doing pizza and dough and all that stuff, because you have to. People have to come on a certain night to pick up their cookie dough or whatever. And if they don't come, then the mommies have to figure out, okay, well, where do I put it, refrigerate and all that stuff? You know what? I'm gonna give you a method. All you gotta do is hand out a gift card, and then somebody can come in and use their gift card. That's all you have to do. So I have a couple of PTA mommies that are customers who are looking forward to giving it a whirl to see how it's gonna work. And I'm gonna use them. I tell them as my crash test dummies to see how it all works and see what happens. So I got a couple of little small PTAs I'm gonna try it out with, and then hopefully I can get some others to join in and bring in some more business. But I'm constantly trying to think of new things.
I see on our other questions over here, do you make rum cakes?
Yes, during the holidays.
Okay. And we know you do wedding cakes, so definitely on that.
Yep.
Well, that's, again, unreal on that. So any other questions, folks? We've been talking to Marcia Thibodo of, let me pause on that. What a cake. And really looking at all of these cakes that you produce, it really is amazing, the creativity and just how awesome they look. It looks so good. You really don't want to eat them, so to speak.
Thank you.
Now, we do have a question about what is the best way to preserve your cake's
Oh,
freshness? And I
yeah.
also just want to clarify too, do you really do chicken pot pies? I must ask, but also on what is the best way to
Okay,
preserve your
best way
cake's
to preserve the
freshness?
cake is to keep it in the refrigerator. We bake with butter, and butter is amazing what it does for a cake and to keep it moist. But to keep it moist is to keep it in the refrigerator, because when you put it in the refrigerator, all the water molecules in it will get cold, just like they do. It will keep cold, and when they warm up, water expands. Like when you have an ice cube and it warms up, it expands. So the water expands and it spreads the moisture throughout the cake. And right now is the best time because you don't have to keep it in your refrigerator. You can actually leave them in the car because your car is a whole lot colder than your refrigerator in the house. We tell people that all the time to keep them in there, to keep the cakes in their cars or in their garage if they don't have room in the refrigerator. And the second question, yes, for family, I do make homemade chicken pot pies. That's a funny one. Yes.
So we know who put that one in there.
Yes, a family member put that in there. Yes, I make, but I'm not going to be selling to anybody because they're a lot of work. I made a pot pie and I made it in the shape of a pie. And it's pot pie. And it's funny because they were like, I've never seen one in a pie pan. Like, well, what else would you make a pot pie in? So that's a family joke. Yeah.
Marcia, long-term, what's your long-term plan as far as, oh, what a cake?
I am 56. I would like to do this till I'm about 65. That would be another 9 years, 20 some years in it. So I will have done 19 with Verizon and 20 here. And I really think I want to do motivational speaking, or not, if not motivation, just to help other women, men, whoever get started with their business. Because I would really like to help people not do the dumb things that I did and not reinvent the wheel. So things like this are motivating me to know that maybe I can do it, to let people know, like I said, with the lease with the landlord. I wish somebody had told me what I was signing, because I thought I read it and did a good job of reading it, and I didn't. Just to help people with the taxes, to know exactly what you're getting into and to have a better understanding. So I think that might be my next rebirth, to sell this prayerfully and go on and do motivational speaking to help people get do their own business and things. And while it is difficult, it's very rewarding to have your own, and I enjoy it.
You mentioned two things in there that we've shared with our Ujamaa Business Roundtable people, the lawyer and the accountant.
Yes.
How does that integrate with your business? I know you probably have both.
I don't have a lawyer, but I have one that I can consult, but not one that I say I use. Luckily, I haven't need to have one too much, but I had a lawyer I consulted with the contract at the beginning.
Mhm.
But the accountant for me is the most important thing. And in the beginning, you always say, I can't afford an accountant. I can't afford an accountant. And like most people tell you, when you get into it, you realize, you know what? I can't afford not to have an accountant, because they
Good
keep you
point.
straight and keep you all your bills. And you figure out how to pay an accountant because they are worth their money in gold.
Fantastic. That's what we say in our roundtable. Make sure that you've got a very good tax accountant. Make sure you've got a very good contract lawyer out there. And also, in most cases, when you're growing your business, a very good banker.
Yes. Yes.
At the same time.
Yes.
So
yes.
again, these are things that any business that's out there need to have as a go-to person or go-to people in there. And you said it also too, you're in the people business. So hiring the right people is
Yes.
critical.
Yes.
So any parting words?
I thank you for this opportunity, and I hope I've helped someone out. As the song say, I hope if I can help somebody as I pass along. So I hope I've done that to help somebody out. And if anybody has any questions, Nancy, I think if they have my email or address, I'm willing to assist in any kind of way I can. Like I said, to help somebody to not do the dumb thing that I did along the way. And I guess that's about it. And if anybody was interested in a cake, you know where to find one. And we do have a good cake. So all your guests will say, oh, what a cake.
Marcia, thank you so much for being part of our business showcase sponsored by the Howard County Library Systems and the Ujamaa Business Roundtable. I really have to say this is probably kicking off 2022 with the sweetest business out there, which is Oh, What a Cake. And it's really been an eye-opener for me looking at this PowerPoint presentation of what all these designs that you can create. And you got me thinking now, my granddaughter's coming up on her 9th birthday. So now I've got to think, okay, what can we do that gets creative? And so we can bring that to Oh, What a Cake and see how it goes. So again, thank you so much. We
Thank you.
really enjoy. You've got some amazing cakes. Looking at, and I echo what's in the chat. Love seeing your amazing cakes. I mean, this was absolutely fantastic. And I know you probably got many, many more that you probably could have added on this PowerPoint presentation. But what we see here now, I do love this one and the others out here. I love them all. They are absolutely beautiful. Somebody's saying, I can't wait for you to design their, and I'll leave the number, their birthday cake that they hit. Well, if you don't mind, Anitra, I'll say your 50th birthday cake out there. It's in the chat.
All right, I'll look and see.
Again, thank you, Marcia, and thank you also Howard County Library Systems for co-sponsoring this. Marcia, we wish you continued success in your journey. And folks, we invite you to watch and be part of our business showcase next month. Every 4th Tuesday, we've got another special guest that we will send you out the notice and all again for our business showcase, February 2022. So Marcia, thank you so much. And closing, we'll say, oh, what a cake.
Thank you
so much, Marcia.
Thank you so much, Marcia.
Doing this on short notice for bringing cheer in a cold January with these beautiful cakes, for inspiring us to go out and have a piece of cake, and for sharing your journey with us. And now, as always, it's been a pleasure. We look forward to seeing you again each month in 2022 on the 4th Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. So thank you, everybody. In the follow-up email, we'll send you the links again to Oh, What a Cake. And the PowerPoint is shared on the event listing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording. Everybody have a lovely evening. Go out and get a cake.
Thank everybody for joining in.
Thank you.
I'm dreaming about your cakes. I'm going to dream about them.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.